In a previous video, someone commented asking why I put the Crown Signia up against an RX that wasn't a hybrid. And today I'm going to be reviewing the differences between an RX 500H versus the new 2025 Crown Signia. My name's Aiden with Upper James Toyota, and let's get into this video. Whether you guys are looking for your next vehicle or just an existing client of ours, don't forget to mention that you've seen our videos online for a special YouTube-only incentive. Now, these two vehicles are very similar. However, they differ on one big thing, and that's going to be powertrain. On a Crown Signia, you're getting a 2.5-liter four-cylinder paired up with a hybrid system. Now, combined output for this vehicle is 240 horsepower, and it's going to be only offered in all-wheel drive versus the RX 500H. Now, this being a step up from the 350H or even a regular 350. This vehicle in front of me is getting a little bit smaller of an engine versus the Signia. This comes in at a 2.4-liter turbocharged four-cylinder, making combined 366 horsepower, which is also going to be all-wheel drive. Now, I know number-wise, this is definitely going to pack a bigger punch than the Crown Signia, but feature-wise and even looks-wise, I argue that they are pretty similar. Now, taking a closer peek onto this Crown Signia, and if you guys saw a previous video that I did where I featured an all-black version of the Crown Signia, I mentioned it's offered in different color configurations on the outside versus black, and also versus the inside, which was black on that vehicle. This one, I've got two different ones. So you're gonna have Storm Cloud Blue as your exterior color, which was originally first offered on the Grand Highlander Hybrid Max. And I think it's one of our newest colors to market, and definitely a color that you do not see very often on the road. Now, looking at the front end of this vehicle, I'm starting up front here because I think the front styling on the Signia, they have done a phenomenal job. It shares much similarities with the new body style of a Camry, having this cool cut-out grille on the front, mixed in with this all-gloss black plastic. I think that it rounds off the vehicle really well because you don't see a whole lot of chrome. Now, the one interesting thing about this vehicle, and I touched upon it last time, was that your actual headlamps are these circular light bulbs situated in the middle of your bumper. The top strip right here is just your DRL, and I think it looks pretty neat on the road just in the daytime when it's driving. And typically, most manufacturers don't have a strip across. The only manufacturer I can think of is actually going to be Lexus, and it's really common on their new ISs, and then obviously this vehicle here with their new reverse checkmark headlamp, that it looks pretty cool in the daytime whenever this vehicle is on. Now, let me know in the comments down below what you guys think of this color, because I think this on a vehicle at this size, what you're getting for the vehicle, I think it's pretty cool to be offered in a few different color configurations that you typically wouldn't see, whether that has a black roof or it's the onyx brown or just some interesting different reds that we offer in this lineup as well. I think Toyota's done a pretty cool job to kind of keep options very fresh on their newest SUV to market. Now, taking a closer peek onto the looks of this RX 500H. Now, I've mentioned this before and I'm saying this again. Lexus lighting, Lexus styling, they have done a great job. And again, even this front grille, it looks pretty similar to the Crown Signia. It's obviously just about 2 times, maybe 3 times the size. But styling wise, yeah, Lexus has definitely done a pretty good job on this vehicle. With their new headlight design, the bulges on the hood, they definitely have made this vehicle performance wise very strong, but also aesthetically wise, they've made it look pretty sporty in my opinion. I guess that's the best way I can describe it. The one interesting thing though I will say, which I have mentioned before, they've put the largest Lexus logo on the front of this vehicle. So everyone knows when you're driving this vehicle, you are behind the wheel of a brand new Lexus. Now, I'm not gonna be going fully in depth on this vehicle to show you exactly what this vehicle has from the factory. I already have a full review on the Crown Signia, which you guys can check out. I'm just gonna be brushing on a few things that I like and dislike about the car. Only thing I'm gonna be telling you I dislike about the car is going to be this little orange reflector light. Lexus has done this so well that they integrate this into the front headlight, and I think just on any color of this car, I've seen it in the brown, in the black, in the white, in the red, in Storm Cloud Blue. I just think it's the one eyesore thing on this vehicle. I wish this was integrated somehow into the front, headlamp design or somewhere in the front lighting, because this to me is just something that if I had one of these, I would get a clear one and put those on instead, because I think that would kind of round off the vehicle a little bit better in my opinion. Now, these are winter tires. I'm not going to go over the different rims we have on it. I've got a video of the stock Crown Signia up on the page, which you guys can check out. Enough what I don't like about this vehicle, which is only one small thing. I'm going to continue with all the things that I do like about the vehicle. And I'm going to start with, there is no matte black plastic anywhere on this vehicle on the outside. I've mentioned that on a RAV before, on a Grand Highlander before, or any other vehicles in our lineup. It just looks cheap. It gets dirty really easily, and it just shows every little small mark you get while just doing your everyday driving. And I'm happy to say your front lip, your fender flares, your mirror caps, your side skirts, and your rear bumper are all in this gloss black plastic, and I think just makes this vehicle look a little bit more premium and something I would expect when getting behind the wheel of a vehicle like this with the price tag that one of these comes with. The only other thing I'm going to kind of not agree with on Toyota about, and I'm going to be in favor of Lexus on, is that Lexus typically makes their, I guess, chrome inserts around their windows a little bit more gunmetal, and I wish we did that on our end. I think that this chrome actually complements the color pretty well right now, and I've never said that before about a color before. However, I actually don't mind it, but I would love if this was just matte black or a gloss black or just a gunmetal gray. I think that would have well offed this vehicle so much better than the way that it's currently sitting in front of me. Now, Lexus has this down to a T, like I mentioned on the Crown Signia, but this is going to be their little side marker reflector. And I think that is just such a smart integration onto the vehicle, because just like the Crown Signia, if you put it here on the vehicle, it's going to be an eyesore. And I think just integrating that to the headlight makes the vehicle look so much better. And I wish Toyota offers this on some of our vehicles down the road with different lighting, different designs. Stay tuned, because I really hope that they do obviously make that change in the future. Now, side profile of the two vehicles, yes, standard from the factory. These wheels that are on the RX 500h right now are the exact same size that would be on the Crown Signia, but obviously I'm not going to go in depth of it because we have winters on our demo that is currently here right now. I will mention this though, this silver color, I've said this before in other videos, silver is going to be one of my favorite colors that we currently offer. I think it always looks clean. It's, you know, it's different on the road than a black or a gray or a white. And I think it makes any vehicle look great. And I think this Lexus looks phenomenal in this color. And I'm so happy that I actually have a Lexus in this color versus a black one that I reviewed beforehand. Now, like I mentioned on the Crown Signia, the one thing that I wish I could take off this one, throw it onto that one, is going to be this gunmetal gray, you know, insert around the windows. I think that just would have well-rounded the Signia a little bit more, and Lexus has that down very, very well on most of their vehicles that I don't see a whole lot of chrome. So very good job to Lexus. The one thing I will notice though, being next to this vehicle versus next to the Signia, is that the Signia is definitely a lot smaller headroom wise. And people will always argue the fact that I said this in a previous video that I did on that vehicle, is that it's almost like a station wagon to a point. Some people say an SUV, others say a crossover. I will say almost station wagon vibes, because, you know, it's a little bit higher up than say a Volvo station wagon or a Mercedes or an Audi station wagon. But obviously the practicality of having something a little bit bigger that isn't crazy performance like any of those manufacturers, that is what Toyota has decided to do. But you can definitely see it side by side. I'm pretty eye level height with the roof of this one versus seeing directly over the Crown Signia. So if you guys were in the market for either one of these two vehicles, let me know. I'm always curious to see why consumers went one way or the other way. So leave a comment down below so I can take a peek. Now, on the rear end of the Crown Signia, again, I've already mentioned this in previous videos beforehand. I'm going to mention it one more time because I find this so funny that Toyota has decided to put the smallest Toyota logo on one of our vehicles. And it's just kind of funny. You just read across and it just reads Crown. So for some people who maybe this car's far ahead of them, they may be able to read Crown but don't know exactly what manufacturer makes that. So very interesting on Toyota's part to put such a small logo on the back end of one of their newest SUVs. Now, simple push of the button, your rear trunk is going to open. Now, you do actually have quite a lot of space onto the rear end of one of these vehicles. You can fold the seats down flat, but the interesting thing between this one and the RX behind me is the fact that I have to manually push these seats down. It's very nice to know on a Lexus, if I take a closer peek onto the trunk of that vehicle, that simply you open it up, you know, the rear lights, everything about the rear end of this vehicle, they've done a very good job. It's all color matched, so good job on Lexus for doing that. But on this corner over here, I can simply push a button and the rear seats will actually start to go down. So it's one other little convenience feature that they added that we currently do not have in our lineup. I believe on a Sequoia, you can get that option depending on the trim level that you go for, but obviously that price point versus a Crown Signia, they are very, very different and offered with different passenger configurations. However, that's definitely a convenience feature that I wish they added to the Crown. It's something that they're missing, but honestly, you let me know. Something like that or small little features like that, would you be willing to pay the extra money to get into this competitor that the Crown Signia is with? Now, obviously the 500H, you don't have to go all the way up to that. You could go to a 350H, less power. I don't believe that's turboed. You might be able to correct me down below in the comments. I didn't check that one beforehand. That's actually a pretty interesting feature to, include on that vehicle. So let me know down below in the comments. I'm gonna take a closer peek now on what's on the inside of both of these because they are very similar, and we'll take a peek really, really shortly. Okay guys, now taking a closer peek onto the inside of the Crown Signia. Now, I'm really happy that we have this vehicle here now because I wanted to feature the different interior color option that you could be getting from Toyota on this. So you have the option for black or saddle tan. Now, this is a very, very similar color that's offered in one of our Tundras, which is a 1794, only offered with a saddle brown interior. So that's the closest thing we can get to it. I'm actually gonna be a huge fan of it. I think that these little trim pieces around the side, that's kind of this, dark cream, almost knocking on the door of like a gold color, actually looks pretty cool and complements the inside of this car very well. I've already talked inside features wise, all the jazz of what you get on the inside. Definitely being on the inside of this Signia versus being on the inside of that RX, which I have been all day, is the fact that they are very similar. A couple things I will mention though, I will definitely argue that Lexus has done a better job with screens in the vehicle. I think that the screen centered directly in front of the driver, they've done a pretty good job at, customizing it with a map or what audio is playing or, your eco scores, fuel efficiency stuff, all of that jazz. So that's kind of nice to have that customization. However, this screen centered in the middle of the vehicle, it's larger in the RX 500H, and it gives you a couple different options that we don't have either. So it has convenience options like, if I want to increase the temperature, I have these little switches down here, but on the Lexus, they're actually these physical knobs, which I kind of like. It makes the vehicle feel a little bit more premium for the dollar that you are spending. But talking about the dollar you are spending in one of these vehicles, I've said this before when this car originally arrived here at our dealership, is that this is the closest thing to a Lexus that you will get without a Lexus badge. And the biggest thing that's going to be in one of these is that you take regular gas in a Signia versus premium in the RX 500. Now, I'm sure that's probably just because it's turbocharged. I'm sure other Lexuses in their lineup do take regular gas, but that's definitely going to be, a cost you have to assume when you're buying a new vehicle of what kind of gas the vehicle is going to take. The only other thing I'm actually going to argue against with Toyota in this sense is going to be this bar across. I would love it if it wasn't there. The only reason is because you look up and that's kind of the first thing I see. If it was pushed back a little bit more, even better. But again, I would take this over a regular sunroof because I've mentioned this in many other videos prior, is that a moonroof on the inside of a vehicle opens it up. And especially a vehicle like this where it doesn't look super large, but on the inside you feel a bit bigger. They've done a good job to make any customer sitting on the inside that this is a bit larger of a vehicle that you're getting yourself into. So, that's the route they decided to go. I wish they could take this out, but sadly that's going to be there to stay. However, the one other thing I will mention you get standard on this package, just like that RX, which is an F Sport model, is the fact that you have your digital rear view display mirror. Now, typically you can add this on to any Toyota as a genuine Toyota accessory, but it is nice that it has the ability to flip the switch forward and a camera will then display what's behind you. And it's very clear, might I add. It's very clear enough that you could be driving and read a license plate behind you if your vehicle is obviously clean and you can see out that camera. But again, it's a really cool, almost like freebie that Toyota is going to throw in on a vehicle like this with the price point that you are spending. Now, I'm going to take a closer peek to see what the inside of the Lexus has to offer, and I'll be back with you in 2 seconds. All right, guys, now taking a closer look at the inside of the Lexus 500H. Number one, I don't think I've mentioned this before on many videos, but I will mention this right now. This has to be one of the most comfortable seats I have sat in a very long time. They've kind of got this lumbar support around like the thigh bit of your leg. So it really kind of keeps you squared away while you're driving. You're not really moving a whole lot. You know, they kind of support you if you're taking a turn, and they just feel very premium and they look premium. I love this little Alcantara suede insert that they have added. I even don't mind the black, and I'm typically a fan of someone who likes a different interior color option, but they have done a very good job on the inside of this vehicle. And I'm going to continue that with exactly what I said against the Signia, which is going to be this bar that was right above my head, which is now a bit further back into your second row. And I think that just makes this a little bit more open for the front two passengers. And I actually like it because it's not an eyesore above my head. I know the reason why they did that, and it's very simple, is the fact that this has a functional sunroof. The Crown Signia does not. You have a sun shader, which can either, you know, block off the moonroof or open it up for you, but you actually cannot open the sunroof or moonroof in the Signia. You can in this vehicle, which again, getting into a vehicle, especially at this price tag, you kind of expect that. So Lexus has done a good job, and they've made correct adjustments versus say the Crown Signia, where just moving that pillar a little bit further back, obviously, you know, offers the opportunity to actually throw in a functional sunroof. The other thing I mentioned on the Signia, which I'm going to go against right now, is the fact that these climate controls have to be the coolest knobs ever thrown into a manufactured vehicle. You twist it to the left, it's got this deep blue, which then turns into like a purple, which then goes into a pink, which then goes to red. So it's very, very black and white, you know, definitely figuring out, okay, what, you know, climate control setting you're currently on. And then digitally, it'll display on the middle of these two knobs exactly what temperature you have set your vehicle to. I mentioned as well center screen. It's a little bit larger in this vehicle and it feels bigger in this vehicle. The only thing I really don't like about it is that your stop start button is up here. And I'm just so used to our vehicles being either down here or situated behind your cup holders that's just what I'm used to. I'm sure I could get used to where this is very quickly. But again, that's just one thing I would just change because we don't offer a whole lot of our Toyotas with that same feature. I'm going to touch on one thing that I mentioned beforehand as well. It's going to be this shifter. This center console looks very Crown Signia. The shifter comes exactly from the Crown Signia, like the Camry, like the Prius, like a regular Crown sedan. I think it's compact, it's easy to use, doesn't take up a whole lot of space, and it looks good. Because on the inside of a vehicle like this, you don't want a bulky shifter, you know, taking up a lot of space for you and, you know, any of the people that you're currently traveling with. If you push this little bit back here, your wireless charger is down there, your two cup holders, you actually have a decent bit of storage in one of these as well. And it kind of opens up the same way the Crown does. It flips open one end and flips open the other end. I don't know how they do it. It's like magic, whatever they do on the manufacturing side, but it is cool. It's accessible for both your front passenger and the driver. The only thing I will be saying about the middle screen, which I mentioned, I like the customization on the Toyota side. I'm not really the biggest fan of it on the Lexus side for the simple fact you can't really customize a whole lot of it. You could change the different drive modes and stuff like that to obviously change around your tachometer or make it look a little bit more sporty, but you can't put your map up there. I'm sure you can check out what audio you're playing, stuff like that, but you definitely have 3 different customizable screens on the Signia versus the RX, which only gives you a few different options. The layout is pretty much so like similar, I guess I can say that. I definitely feel a bit higher up in this vehicle, and judging off of space, that makes true because that vehicle definitely does sit a little bit lower than this one does. The only other thing I guess I will say is being in the second row of these two vehicles is that the Crown Signia feels larger because it's a bit lower to the ground. I like the height they've put in the Crown Signia versus the outgoing Venza, which had that sloped back. So they've definitely utilized more of the actual car frame and the space of the vehicle to obviously optimize, you know, comfortability for people sitting on the inside. So I'm going to jump in the back for both these two vehicles, quickly just kind of tell you which one I like better, different features you get in the back, and I'll see you guys in a quick second. Now, before I take a closer peek onto the rear end of this RX 500, I'm going to tell you one of my favorite convenience feature options on this vehicle. Just like the trunk, I actually have a little button down below here. If I simply push that forward, I can actually recline these seats and then push them even forward. So I like the fact that it's not a manual switch. it does actually take some time. As you see, I'm still talking, the seat's still not down yet. However, I do like the fact that you can do that on this vehicle, and they're automatic. So you simply push it, they then roll back up, and it's really easy to either, fold these seats down or to, put them back up again. So I like that from Lexus's side. Now, actually jumping into the back of these, I notice a night and day difference that the front seats are 10 times more comfortable than the rear ones. I feel like I have a bit more cushion on these seats. However, the feeling of your front seats and the way they hug you, I kind of like that a bit better. And I know that's why it's on the front seats, because that's typically, the driver that should have that kind of feeling, so they feel more, stable or comfortable on the road, whatever they want to do there. The layout of your center console here and your 2 charging ports, cooled seats, heated seats, and climate control, yeah, they've done a pretty good job. It's a good layout for anyone back here, and space back here is also pretty good too. I cannot complain about this in the slightest bit. They have done and added some small little features around this vehicle, even just like pulling this down. It's a nice little premium feel to open up your rear cup holders with this nice little button that opens up really easily, stores away simple, and you also have a bit of storage back there as well, which I wish we offered on more of our vehicles, because we don't, sadly enough. The one other thing too, which I'll mention, this Alcantara theme that was in the front seats, you kind of have it on the rear seats too, on the insert of the actual seats. I'm not too sure if the camera will pick that up very well, but you have it around the sound system too in this vehicle. Trying to do some research, I actually couldn't narrow down exactly what sound system is in this vehicle. I don't know if it's Bose, I don't know if it's maybe another manufacturer. You guys can correct me down below in the comments, but all I know is that it sounds phenomenal. And against the Crown Signia, that is only offered with JBL sound system, so both will go hand in hand if you're a music person, but both sound great. You guys can let me know which one would be your preference from there. And just like I mentioned on the Lexus, if I want to put these seats down, I simply push this and the whole thing will come down. So I like the fact that it's a lot quicker than the Lexus. However, I like the convenience feature, the fact that on the Lexus, you can just hit a button and it's going to go down for you. So good job on Lexus's part there. Anyway, into the rear end of the Crown Signia. Headspace, it's great. I've got 2 USB ports there, but no climate controls in the back. So that's the one downfall. You can set that obviously from the front, so no problem there. Your heated seats are actually going to be situated on both of the doors. So it's going to be 1 seat, 2 seats, which I like. I like the brown theme into the rear as well. I don't think it's an overkill. I know it's on the dash quite a bit. It's on your center console. It's obviously on your cup holders back here, which again, there's no button you push. There's no storage. It's just 2 simple spots for obviously, 2 drinks for your rear passengers, which is great. But again, it's the small little convenience features that Lexus offers that Toyota just doesn't have. And I don't think Toyota doesn't want to put them in. I think they still have quite a few great convenience features for the everyday consumer, but it's a matter of how many they're willing to add, which will then obviously increase the price on that vehicle. So I think, value for money of what you're getting, I think I'd be Signia on this one. I love the power option on the RX. I think that styling wise, I don't know which way I go. You guys can let me know your thoughts on that. I think that seeing the Lexus and the small little things that they have done with the rear seats and, having that moonroof, being able to open and then being able to have this bar that comes back a little bit, having the bigger screens with the dials that I prefer over this one, those are small things, but will I sacrifice that for the price point? You guys can let me know. Let's get into that part. All right, guys, so I've been over what's similar, what's different, and my honest opinions between these 2 vehicles. Now, talking a few very important numbers. We're talking fuel efficiency. So Crown Signia will average combined between highway and city 6.2 liters per 100 versus the Lexus RX 500H, which comes in averaging 8.4 liters. Now remember, regular gas versus premium gas. So there's a cost difference, or a large cost difference right there for you. And then there's price. So a Crown Signia, this is a limited, not the advanced package. And even when advanced, it's not a huge step up either, but this one in front of me comes in $57,450 will be MSRP for this vehicle, adding freight, PDI, subtotal of your taxes, licensing, and any dealer charges. And then we look at the Lexus. This bad boy is coming in, sticker price, $84,305. Adding those same fees that I told you about the Toyota. So let me know, do you guys think it's worth almost upgrading $30,000 to this vehicle versus, a very strong competitor and a new competitor to today's market? Let me know down below in the comments. I'm going to be looking at a lot of comments moving forward so I can answer some few questions that we have down the road. Again, my name is Aiden with Upper James Toyota. Thanks so much for watching. Please do not forget to hit like and subscribe so you don't miss any more of our future related Toyota content, and we'll check you guys out in the next video.